My name is Jeremy Rodriguez, and I run a marketing agency, a digital marketing agency, helping direct-to-consumer brands scale with paid acquisition systems. Life before working with Victor was essentially tuning into how I work, meaning we're taught to work hard, grind, put your head down, and grind till you're burned out or till you're miserable. And my biggest concern essentially was imagine making $1 million or more and hating life, right? Which everyone hears the stories that quite literally happens a lot. Where the way I wanted to build was if I'm going to make $1 million and above, I want to get there enjoying life, enjoying the process, and understanding what really matters to me because at the end of the day, I'm very confident in my ability attracting or creating whatever I want. And working with Victor allowed me to dive deeper in myself to essentially find what enjoyment meant and is, what fun meant and is, and what building that creates enjoyment and fun as I'm achieving this big result looks like, right? Which working with Victor in 2022, we ended up doing around 400K in our agency, where in 2023 was the first time we passed 7 figures in our agency. Not your traditional route like normal agencies would do it, but with a boutique style, limited clients. We only had 5. I was only working 10 to 15 hours a week, if that. But the fact that we were able to take this concept of working all this time hard, being miserable, making it where it's not miserable, it's fun. We get to work with great brands, scale them to enormous heights. One client of ours that ended up doing about 30 million that we helped them achieve. And everyone in the company is happy working in the agency. It's just been very flourishing, but it started with working with Victor and diving deep in myself on understanding why I'm growing or doing what I'm doing and finding that enjoyment fun and our core values that allowed us to scale. How working with Victor is different than a lot of coaches I did work with. And I spent a lot of money on coaches. Like in 2023, I probably invested 200K in coaches, Victor being part of one of them. In 2022, I put about 100K in coaches. What I like about Victor specifically is he understands the individual. When I was working with Victor, he spoke to me. He made me feel like, hey, I'm working with you specifically to understand where I was in my process, what hardship I was facing, what internal conflicts and hurdles that I needed to cross specifically. Where with other coaches that I've experienced, it's you're put in this bucket with everyone else and you're in a template. And you're being spoke at versus to. And what I mean by that is you're just a template and I'm going to assume your problems. And I'm going to talk in this assumption of your problems, which doesn't help me solve my problems personally. And quite literally made it more difficult because you're technically not helping me. You're speaking in this hypothetical where you think you know where I'm at, but I'm not. So I can't get to a solution due to that factor. Where working with Victor, he's specifically asking questions as you're speaking and participating to identify what is your core problem and really allowing you to understand he understands where you are at and what your problem is. And sometimes helping you understand what the actual problem is that you couldn't even identify, which I appreciated a lot because then we're actually solving the actual core problem versus the symptoms that aren't really going to make a transformation as you're moving forward and progressing. And that was a big impact that I've experienced working with Victor. Personal wins specifically is just finding more enjoyment and relationships and attracting like-minded people. Where as soon as I started opening up in the beginning phase, before working with Victor, I was pretty much isolating myself, introverted, which I'm an extroverted person, where I can balance out the both. But I enclosed myself out, just stood working 14, 15 hours a day, and life was quite dull. Where working with Victor, he allowed me to open up the perspectives, and actually it helped me identify my values, which they were pretty non-existent prior, to then get myself out there, get back to building relationships, new relationships with people that are similar to me, that want a better life experience and enjoyment and fun. So, in regards to personal, the transformation there was very colorful, very open, where I'm more confident, I'm outgoing, I'm meeting great business people and friends. I'm exploring more of the world. I'm more comfortable to do so versus prior, I wasn't. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was nervous. I had anxiety, and just a big transformation in that side. In regards to professional, I was challenged a lot of the times working with Victor, where I put myself in a box and said, oh, like I have to work 15 hours a day. My team can't perform, or I have to be in the day to day and lead all the time. Where working with Victor, it transformed the ideas and created an open door to take a step back and say, hey, let me rely and trust the team to perform. Let me trust myself to not needing to work 15 hours, and that I am hyper efficient to just work 2 to 5 hours, if that, and get just as much work done and results done. Let me build better relationships that allow growth in the agency, the team, and revenue, and seeing what growth that inspires. And with that same exact steps and illustration, we hit 7 figures. And for me, it was a big win. And quite literally, a recent win was I was able to step away from my agency for 1 month, and my team was more than capable of handling all operations, sign new deals, and I didn't have to participate. I didn't have to be there. And that told me, wow, I can actually work on a new skill, where the old Jeremy was telling himself, no, you're too busy to learn new things, learn new skills, live life, have enjoyment. So those were big wins on both sides there. If a person was on the fence working with Victor, what I would tell them is just come at it with an open mind. It's not easy in today's world with all the noise and who to trust, who is quality, who is not. As tough as it might be, and yes, is an investment, Victor is a gem. Victor is a person, a coach who really knows his stuff. And in my opinion, that's very hard, right? My journey with Victor, I was working with him for a year, 12 months. And one thing that was very affirming to me was the book recommendations, the conversations. Just because for me, being a high performer, building an agency and having the success I've had, those are the habits I've done. I've read books. I was on top of my industry. I went down obsessively to understand my craft. And the fact that I can identify that in Victor as well, that is a coach I want in my corner. If I'm in any ring, that's a coach I can be highly confident to guide me in darkness to see light, right? And it's not easy, right? So if you're on the fence to work with Victor, I would say take a leap, be open minded, and best case scenario, you have a really good friend in your corner, but you're going to learn, right? That's my biggest takeaway from that.